So the comunicado oficial just came in, and honestly I know he's old, but I really wasn't expecting this. Luka Modric has just announced he's going to be leaving Real Madrid. One of the all-time legends of the club and honestly of just the sport in general. Notice, however, how in his message to the team, which I'll go through later in the video, it doesn't mention actually retiring. So there's a strong chance he's going to go to another club. You may be thinking, well, probably somewhere in the MLS, maybe Saudi Arabia, maybe a top-level team in the Premier League, Serie A, La Liga. They could all use a guy like Luka Modric. But it actually looks like the most likely team for him to go to is the club that finished 11th place in the championship this season, Swansea City. Now this may seem completely random, and it is, but I'm going to explain it all in this video, and it will actually start to make a bit of sense. First, however, we have to talk about Modric, his legacy, and let's go over his message to Real Madrid fans and when he's actually going to be leaving the club. So my first memories of Luka Modric are at Tottenham. He was excellent there, but definitely honestly went pretty under the radar. His numbers weren't great, and as a result of that, he was overlooked in general, with the likes of Scott Parker, for example, making the team of the year ahead of him. When he moved to Real Madrid in 2013 at the age of 26, I would have never guessed what he would go on to become. He wasn't a Galactico signing at all. At the time, Real had Ozil, Di Maria, Xabi Alonso, and Kaká, who were all seen as better players than Modric in the positions that he could play. And as he was already 26 years old, you would have never thought he would go on to play over 12 seasons at a world-class level. I'd compare it to Real Madrid maybe signing somebody like Bruno Guimaraes now. He's clearly a great player for a pretty decent Premier League side, but he doesn't really have the numbers. He already seems to be at his prime, and you would never expect him to go on to win the Ballon d'Or and be up there with the likes of Xavi, Iniesta, and Zidane for best midfielder in La Liga history. But Modric did just that. With age, he just became better and better and better. I just mentioned Xavi and Iniesta. I think what really puts things in perspective for me about how good Modric is looking where they all were at the age of 34. Xavi was just retiring, Iniesta was in his second season in the Japanese league. Meanwhile, Luka Modric was winning La Liga and the Champions League for Real Madrid starting every game, and also leading his Croatian side to a brilliant third-place spot at the 2022 World Cup. And that's not even mentioning what he did for them in 2018. Did he deserve the Ballon d'Or that year over Messi or Ronaldo? I'd probably say no. But I definitely don't think it's unfair that a player like him gets a Ballon d'Or for just how brilliant and consistent he's been throughout his entire career. Let's go through some of his all-time stats here. He's the player with the 15th most appearances of all time for club and country with 1,109. For Croatia, he has the most caps of the national team by far with 186. And with that, he's 5th overall for any country. For Real Madrid, again, despite the fact that he joined at age 26, he has the 9th most appearances of all time for the club and has the most trophies in Real Madrid history with 28. Absolutely ridiculous. And with a record like that, he's following his fellow midfield partner Toni Kroos by leaving the club at the top of his game. Let me talk you through the message he left Real Madrid fans. He said the usual and what you'd expect, which is pretty nice, like, playing for Real Madrid changed my life as a football player and as a person. I am proud to have been part of one of the most successful eras of the best club in history. Also, apparently Papa Flo held him at gunpoint while Modric typed this up because he says, "I want to thank the club from the bottom of my heart, especially the president, Florentino Perez." And then, he went on to mention his teammates and stuff, but Florentino definitely made sure he got that special name drop and was the first thing mentioned. Modric then went on to say, "But beyond the titles and victories, I carry in my heart the affection of all Madrid fans. I really don't know how to explain the special connection I have with you and how supported, respected, and loved I have felt and feel. I will never forget each ovation and all the gestures of affection you have shown me, leaving with a full heart filled with pride, gratitude, and unforgettable memories. And even though after the Club World Cup I'm no longer going to wear this shirt on the field, I'll always be a Madrid fan. We'll see each other again. Real Madrid will always be my home for a lifetime. A la Madrid and nothing else, Luka Modric." And you may think that that's just generic, sappy stuff that some, corporate worker types up for Modric. But honestly, I think Modric does mean every word. He seems like a very sweet guy to me. I mean, he was one of only 2 players on the team that showed up for Michael Essien's birthday. So I think he's very genuine. But anyway, I need to get to the topic of the video here, which is about the fact that Modric might move to Swansea. Well, that's being pieced together for a couple of main reasons. Number one, he didn't mention retiring, and definitely looks like he has at least a couple of years left in him. And number two, as of the 14th of April, he is a co-owner of Swansea City, which is just the most completely random thing ever. I will say Modric does seem to love teams that play in white, so maybe that's one of the reasons. But seriously, I can't figure out the motivation behind this for Luka Modric. Maybe he's a huge Wayne Routledge fan. The best reasoning I could find online was from this article in The Guardian. Why Swansea, they ask? Well, the best reason they could come up with was he has an awareness of the club from his time in the Premier League. He twice played against Swansea for Tottenham in 2011-12, and an understanding of the club's identity. Okay, he has an awareness of the club. He knows it exists. Good enough, I guess. The article also assured us the fact that Modric played with the long-serving Swansea defender Kyle Naughton at Spurs had no bearing on the decision. And thank God, I know the first thing we were all thinking as soon as we heard this news was that Kyle Naughton definitely put Modric up to this. Yeah, anyway, the fact that Modric is part owner of the club means that it's actually pretty likely he's going to move there. Personally, I'd absolutely love to see that. It'd be the first high-profile case of a player also owning a stake in the club that he's playing for, unless you guys can tell me one I've forgotten, but I don't think there's any. But seriously, just imagine Luka Modric starting in midfield next to Jay Fulton against Sheffield Wednesday away. That's something that I think we all need to see. Honestly though, I did really like that Swansea team in the Premier League era that had players like Michu, Wilfred Bony, Angel Rangel, Gylfi Sigurdsson. They really did have some top players, and it'd be cool if Modric could lead them back up to the Premier League. Well, let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. What are the chances of Modric actually going to Swansea, and where would you like to see him go? If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to Footballers for more videos like this one.